Tonight on Joynews, flood victims in northern Ghana appeal for support after torrential rains pounded their communities and left their homes submerged.
As of now, we don't know where we are going to sleep. All our things are spoiled. The government has to come to our aid to give us a help.
We'll be touching base with the Ghana Meteo on when they can expect a let-up in the situation, even as we continue to appeal for your support for the helpless victims. Leader of Homeland Study Group Foundation accused of masterminding recent attacks on state installations in the Volta region distances the group from the incident.
The Homeland Study Group Foundation is a peaceful group, a peace-loving group, a peace-generating group, a peace-making group, which started since 1994.
Also in this bulletin, government directs all schools to strictly comply with the COVID-19 preventive protocols despite the disregard by the public as some more students return to school as part of a phased reopening.
I think the interesting thing is that protocol observance in schools are on the higher side because authority figures are there. So I think in schools the protocols will be better observed.
And in business,
credit referencing activities of the Bank of Ghana hit 2.8 million cedis. We have more from the central bank as concerns mount over the loan history of customers.
And later in this bulletin, Eastern Region Police Command highlights 70 flashpoints ahead of the December poll.
Using the recent elections for the various parliamentary candidates and others to see whether there will still be flashpoints. Some were not, and new ones have come. So as we begin to dilate and go through it, we'll be able to, by the time we get to the election area, we'll be able to now know the exact locations that we are. But we are talking about something between 60 and 70 within the region.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joynews Prime comes to you live from our Fan of Our studios in Kokomlemle here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we are free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with victims of floods in the northern communities of Tamale Metro and Sanerugu, who are appealing to government to come to their aid after their homes were submerged and properties destroyed. Heavy rain Sunday flooded the capital Tamale, causing the Sanerugu Kukuo Dam to overflow its banks. Here are some residents who spoke with Joynews.
We lost our documents a lot. When you enter the room, everything is spoiled. Everything is spoiled. You can see what we are doing. Today, as of now, we don't know where we are going to sleep. All our things are spoiled. Our documents, everything is spoiled. And now we don't know what to do. The government has to come to our aid to give us a help. The gutter over there is the main cause of what has happened. We just came in here. We are not yet up to 2 months in this house. We came and rented, and this is what has happened. So we don't know what to do. My husband has gone for a funeral, and they are the only one. I was even sleeping. Then they told one of the children woke me up. When I came out, it was like that.
It's a very bad situation, very, very bad feeling. We've lost all our properties, our fridges, even our documents. But what happens is that we have a very short gutter that is supposed to start from our house, continue from our house to the main road, and it has been truncated from our house. So when the water comes, it flows directly from the road into our homes. Instead of it flowing into the gutter, there is no gutter because the gutter has not been constructed. It ended at a house just closer to ours. So that is why we are in this situation. And so we don't even know what to do now.
More flood victims in the northeast region are bouncing back after the waters receded there. Many of the residents have returned to their communities and have started rebuilding. Kweku Al-Hassan is the regional NADMO director.
The whole place has been inundated with water, even though the water level has receded. But even the structures that are standing there, it's not even safe for them to live in. So we have advised that for now, they should stay away from the buildings. For now, that's why we've identified schools for them to stay in. And some of them too have decided to go and stay with their relatives. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Because we have they have their relatives dotted around. So they go to stay with their relatives and come back to the community in the next day.
It's just that we have the information, Mr. Alassane, that some persons have moved back to these structures which are dangerous even for people to live in.
But my brother, we have told them the dangers involved. We have asked them to stay away from the buildings. We've identified places for them to stay in because we are concerned. So if you take the risk of going back to stay in those buildings and then something happens to you, what can we say? We don't encourage that.
We can now speak with Felicity Ahafianyo, who is with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Okay, so she'll be telling us what to expect going forward in the northern region so that they can plan towards it. So also NADMO can also prepare and be able to deliver to victims of these floods. We'll also be talking to the Morning Man to It's Up to Us campaign, which is being run by Joynews and the Super Morning Show. He'll be telling us why it has become so necessary to save lives in there. I hope Felicity Ahafianyo is on the line now. So Felicity is with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Tell us, how is it going to be like, or what's the forecast for northern Ghana?
Okay. Good evening, and thanks for contacting GMET. The forecast for this week for the northern sector, we are still expecting rain over their area. For tonight up to tomorrow, we are anticipating isolated to scattered thunderstorms. Midweek, we are anticipating scattered thunderstorms. And then weekend, that is Friday into Sunday, we are anticipating isolated to scattered thunderstorms over the northern sector. So for this week, the rain is still in the forecast for the northern belt of Ghana.
And when is this likely to be over?
Yes, for the rains to be over the northern sector, we are looking at the third week of October into the last week. So gradually by next week, we'll see that the rains will subside, and then once in a while they will get one or two rain. Then the sun will set in. We'll be having partly cloudy with sunny period. Then later the dry winds will start invading their regions.
Felicity, what's the advice for residents in these areas?
Currently, the only advice is that they should be getting the daily updates of the weather from GMET. And then those that their areas are prone to floods, since we still have rain in the forecast for their area, they should be doing something about it. If you know you are living around the flood-prone areas, at least they should be making way for the run of water their way out. And those that are hard hit, I think they should relocate to a safer place until the rains are over. Then they can return back to their homes.
Felicity, let's look at the bigger picture. I mean, recently we've been experiencing some few rains, even in Accra. What's the general focus for the entire country?
Okay, for the entire country for this week, the rain weather zones or the active zones are descending over the middle sector, the transition, and then the middle. So those over Bono East, Oti region, Volta region, Eastern region, Ashanti region, and parts of the coastal belt will also be in the rain. So we are in the second rainy season or the minor rainy season over the southern sector. So for this week too, rain is in the forecast from the middle down to the coastal belt. The middle this week will be hard hit. We'll have some scattered thunderstorms, and then some towards the weekend we'll be having widespread. That means almost every area, every town, every village in Ghana will get the rain and then the thunderstorms. So those of us over all these other regions, it is to be advisable that every day they get the weather update from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, and then they can plan their activities. For this week, rain is still in the forecast for the entire country. Let me put it that way.
Felicity, sometimes we get the forecast, but it really doesn't happen. How sure are we that we can really go with what the GMET is telling us?
Yes, you know, the weather is never static. It keeps changing. And we have parameters. That is the temperature, the pressure, the geopotential, the convective available potential energy chart. And then we work with the wind chart at the various levels. So whatever they are telling us is what we are interpreting for the public. Now, we may tell you that a rainstorm like this week, we are anticipating that there will be a rainstorm over the north, the middle, and then the coastal belt. This is in terms of the general terms. But then the areas that are going to be affected, that is when we bring in the daily. And with the daily, we update 3 times in the day, the morning, the afternoon, and then the evening. So if you pick it, you know that, okay, Accra today, though we are anticipating isolated to scattered thunderstorm for rain over the coast, okay, Accra will not be part. But then if you don't take it and you take the general forecast, and then it didn't rain in Accra, but it rained in Takrady, then you assume that the forecast didn't happen. But then that is not the case. There was some news that we said there will be rain, yes, and there was rain. And as we speak too, we have a rainstorm over Oti region, part of Volta region into Eastern region, and then it's tracking westward. And we have another system over the upper East region, just the border between the Ghana border and then the Burkina Faso. You see, and that one too, if you've not take the daily forecast, the every 6-hour update and check it, then it becomes a problem. But then if you can be getting the forecast on daily basis, you will get yourself acquainted with it, and then before you know it, you are saved. But then if you want to get the general one, as we are telling you, that we are anticipating rain for the whole sector, yes, but then it's not every area that will get the rain. Some will get it today, others will get it tomorrow, and then maybe some will even get it on Friday, some on Sunday. So this is how the trend has been. So you have to walk the person through. So if we can use 1 week, we can walk Joynews through your viewers so that they see how beautiful it is to do the forecasting, and then they can appreciate it, because today if it rains in Tamale, tomorrow it will go to another time it will go to Navrongo or Bolgatanga.
I'm grateful for your time. Felicity Ahafianyo is head of forecast and analysis at GMET. On the other hand, we have less than 24 hours of fundraising left on Joynews #UpToUs campaign led by the Super Morning Show, and with continuing rains and breaking dams in the northern part of the country, what started as a humble appeal for funds is now a desperate race to save lives. The clock is indeed ticking, and Super Morning Show host Kojo Yangsing joins me via the telephone explaining why you simply must respond to the SOS from the people of the North. Kojo, good to have you. How important is this funds to the people worst affected by the disaster?
Aisha, it's of the utmost importance. At the moment, there are people who are forced to sleep in classrooms. But unfortunately, those classrooms are going to be taken away from them because JHS2 and SHS2 students are returning to school. So they have no roofs over their heads, they have nowhere to sleep, and nothing to eat. Because while they are stuck in these classrooms, they are supposed to be fed by the government, by NADMO, by the state. That is not happening. So many of them are returning to their broken down homes just so they can prepare food for their babies to eat. These are the people who need us to come to their aid immediately. And anything at all is helpful. At the moment, they need all kinds of things. When it comes to food items, these people are in need of rice, cooking oil, tomato paste, canned fish. They want cereals, you know, the little starter packs. They are in need of non-food items like mattresses, mats, mosquito nets, hygiene kits with toothpaste and brushes and soap and sanitary pads and so forth. They want blankets, buckets, plates and cups, just so that they can live in some semblance of dignity while their homes are being restored. Now, at the moment, the best way to give is via Momo. The number is 0593 038 768. I'm hoping you have it on your screen. There it is, 0593 038 768. There should be an 8 at the end of that number. Please, if you can give anything at all, it will make a difference to these people's lives. There are farmers who can't feed their children because their entire crop has been submerged by the floods. And there is more rain coming. So this is a humanitarian crisis that we have not yet seen the end of. And we are calling on everyone to give as much as they can. Tomorrow is the deadline because we have to go on Wednesday and give them whatever we have. We can't keep them waiting any longer. So by the end of the Super Morning Show tomorrow, please, we're hoping that everybody who can give will give so that these people can have some semblance of a life.
Indeed, keep up the good job, and thanks so much for trying to save the lives of the people in the north. The numbers are still rolling on our screens, and no amount is too small to save a life. Now, from the northern region, let's stop at the Volta region, because leader of the Homeland Study Foundation, Charles Kujoji, popularly known as Papa V, is calling on government to step up investigations to establish the masterminds behind recent attacks on state installations and personnel in the Volta region, saying his group knows nothing about it. In a 5-minute video on the group's Facebook page, Mr. Kujoji was categorical. The group has no links to the persons who carried out the attacks. 60 suspects have so far been arrested in the Volta region for the alleged involvement in the attacks. Government has revealed it will deploy more police and military personnel to the region to avert further violence and hunt down all persons involved in the destruction of property, including the burning of an STC bus. But leader of the Homeland Study Foundation maintains theirs is a peaceful organization.
About a week or two ago, there were the blocking of roads, a sort of demonstration, a sort of mayhem, short one, in the land. The Homeland Study Group Foundation is a peaceful group, a peace-loving group, a peace-generating group, a peace-making group, which started since 1994. The group had never been arrested anywhere, taken to court and found guilty. Never. We have made this clearly known to the whole world. That is the group that is helping us in the independent affair. They investigated and found us to be peace-loving indeed. And so when this sort of incident happened in the country, and we were being labeled with it, we were being smeared with it, this group from Europe wrote online telling the whole world that the Homeland Study Group Foundation isn't like that. Yes, it is true. We are not so. I am advising strongly.
Facilities at the Kokofo Government Hospital are overstretched, forcing authorities to admit infectious skin diseases in a general ward. The situation has led to patients being treated for general ailments, contracting infectious skin diseases while on admission. The chief of Kokofo, Berima Ofe Okujesu, has constructed a new OPD and operating theatre from its own resources for the hospital, but authorities say they need government's intervention in acquiring additional space and posting of more health staff to boost quality healthcare. Anita Sewa Ajoga was at the inauguration of the new OPD and theatre, and our report.
The Kokofo Government Hospital runs a specialist skin clinic recording 150 skin cases daily and an average of 1,000 cases monthly. But there is no special ward for skin disease patients, and authorities are forced to use the general ward for infectious skin cases. Rita Agra is nurse manager in charge of OPD.
Most of the patients have skin conditions, and when they come to the hospital, they use the same bed. So when they leave, when they are discharged, the other patients without the skin conditions also come and they are nursed on the same bed. So most of the times, they go home with some nosocomial infections. We do clean the beds, we do disinfect them before they are discharged. But you know, some of the infections are communicable, and because we nurse them 24/7, we also attract some of the conditions.
The maternity is the only source of delivery and the antenatal care serving about 40 communities. Lack of space forces nurses to sometimes deliver babies on the floor. Lydia Echan is the midwife.
We are supposed to have a bigger delivery room with at least 3 or 4 delivery beds. But here we are, we have only one delivery ward partitioned by this CNG. At times when they come together like that, we even deliver some on floor or on the beds like that. And we have only one ANC ward. Due to that, at times they will keep long.
To provide some relief, the chief of Kokofu, Berima Ofe Akwesi Okujiesu, has single-handedly constructed an OPD department and a new operating theatre.
The Aka Miss Government said, a Juma Miss Samo, Mia Mwami, Nayan in free Gufunga Diao, MSC Hospital, Nanya canopy, shade canopy be Mfakwanum, Adenjiam.
Regional Director of Health, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran, revealed plans to expand the maternity ward and increase the number of nurses.
We are in the process of getting another ward. We've constructed a modern theatre, we've constructed a new OPD block. The next step is to see whether we can also construct another ward, especially since this area is excellent in skin diseases. So if we can get one ward, so that those who will come and will require admission can be admitted there.
He urged health workers to accept posting to rural communities.
We get a lot of nurses who wanted to be in Ashanti region. Unfortunately, most of them want to work in Kumasi. So whenever you post them to any deprived area, then it becomes so difficult for them to move. So we are encouraging parents also to encourage their children, the nurses, to work in difficult to reach areas.
Reporting for Joynews, Anita Sewa Ajogan.
Drivers and passengers using the Bailey Bridge at Vieri in the Wawas district of the Upper West region say they fear for their lives flying the routes. The bridge, constructed almost 20 years ago, had most of its bolts and nuts on the floor deck removed, making commuting over the bridge a life-threatening journey. Joynews' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports residents in Vieri and other adjoining communities fear they may be cut off from the district capital and the rest of the region if the bridge is not fixed immediately.
If you are a first-timer visiting Vieri in the Wawas district of the Upper West region, passing through the Verimpere Chansa Nakoro Road, you may have the feeling that you will have a jolly and comfortable ride throughout until you get out of the bituminous surface at Verimpere. You will know that you have to revise your notes. The road is deplorable, bumpy, rippling with gaping manholes. You will mistake him for a rice muddy pitch or fish pond. The area is a hub for criminals and their elements. Most of the armed robbery cases reported in the district occurred on the stretch. Drivers plying the route says, though they struggle on the bumpy road to get to Vieri, it's not much of a concern to them for now. Their major concern is this Bailey Bridge, which was constructed almost 20 years ago. Watching it from afar, you will think that there's no doubt about its construction integrity. A careful look at the bridge showed that most of the bolts and nuts are absent. That clearly means that it is a disaster in waiting. Most of the plates at the entrance of the bridge have shifted due to the unavailability of the bolts and nuts. You can even peep through standing to see the water beneath the bridge without a struggle. Drivers, passengers, and riders plying the route told me they always have their hearts in their mouths anytime they have to cross over the bridge.
No. It's not good here.
Why?
They have to do something about it. If not, maybe one day we'll get stranded over here.
Okay. So when you are crossing here, don't you have fears?
Oh, I have fears.
We are very scared. Myself and my passengers, I think at the moment we are never safe. Our life is at risk, and we are calling upon the government and then stakeholders and benevolent societies to come to the aid of the people here. If not,
And it's 63 days to elections. On your election headquarters, the Eastern Regional Police Command says it has identified about 70 polling stations as flashpoints in the region as the December polls approaches. The police observed that the stakes were higher this year, and overzealous supporters of former President Mahama, who is seeking re-election, could potentially clash with their main opponents. Beyond this, they also cite some locations of polling stations that are considered overseas as easy triggers for violence. Chief Superintendent Raymond Kofi Ezwa is the Eastern Regional Acting Operational Police Commander and the New Joabin South Municipal Police Commander.
We are aware of the task ahead. We know that this election is going to be different. The difference is that we have a sitting president who wants to continue his term of office, and we have a former president who wants to come back. So the dynamics are not the same, and we are aware and we know the task that is ahead of us.
We are aware that there will be a lot of security challenges.
We are aware of that. And in Eastern region, we have peculiar situation because we have a lot of overseas areas. When you go to Donkokro and others, their architecture in terms of security is different. So that when the election is today, we have to go there a day or two before, so that security men can be there and send the men to various areas. There are some who are overseas, so they have to sit in a boat and the rest to go there. We are aware of all those dynamics. So we've prepared. I mean, we've both tactical, operational wise, and the legal aspect. So we are aware of the legal aspect that we are supposed to do. The operational wise, we have operational units in the region. We have the RDF, we have SWAT, we have the counter-terrorism unit for the region. And so, and the men have also been trained. So there are a lot that were at stake that we are aware of.
But within the region, have you been able to identify the flashpoint within the region? Do we know?
Yes, we know the flashpoint within the region.
You know about how many flashpoints are you?
No, I cannot pinpoint because it keeps changing. Some of those places that we used to say flashpoint, we were using the recent elections for the various parliamentary candidates and others to see whether they will still be flashpoint. Some were not, and new ones have come. So as we begin to dilate and go through it, to be able to, by the time we get to the election area, we'll be able to now know the exact locations that we are. But
and today on Voters' Voice, we take you to the New Joabin South constituency, where the electorate say the track records of both John Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo will be the deciding factor when they finally cast their ballot on December 7.
I look at the track record of NDC when they come to power. Anytime they will be like the infrastructure. I want to know that infrastructure, has it affected a lot of Ghanaians or just those in that area? But the MPP, whatever they do, and it's always the impossible, they'll be like, I'll do this, then the opposition will be like, no, you can't do this, it's not possible. And they come and they do that, what they said is not possible, they do it. And it affects a lot of people. Whether you like it or not, it will affect an MPP man, it will affect NDC people, almost the whole Ghana. So let's start with free SHS, that's the current one. It's affecting a lot. So even if you don't get infrastructure in your area, your ward will be going to that SS thing for free. But when we look at NDC, to be like, oh, I have a building here, I have maybe a hospital there, it's affecting just the people in that area. Ghanaians should see or start thinking about the president to do something that affects every part of Ghana. So if it's infrastructure, if it is school, it's happening in every region. You don't do that and say, oh, I've built a school or hospital here, so we should vote for you. There's something like an education policy that affects anybody. It's good we have to have these infrastructures, if they are not there, it's bad. We cannot function without them. But the president shouldn't let it be his achievement. I've built that, I've done that. So what should the MP say? What should the minister say? What should the DCE or MCE say? What's their achievements? But when you bring policies that is going to affect everybody in this country, then yeah, we should give you another term. So that's why I'm going to vote for the MPP for the day.
To also what you go and now my uncle double track. As I said, Barry, I mean, with me or senior high school. I hear be a school or your home accounts. Secondary school to be one of the name of Bantu for say free. But maybe you be baby to 12 million. And somebody to talk on Yama San or school tea fan say, maybe you may not to no be or no tea kura. When be a dear crowd said or in the Baba senior free. Free. Or could not 12 million or him or the cockatoo. Saqualan, Yama Amani, the school.
December 7 will be interesting. Still to come in business, credit referencing activities of Bank of Ghana hits 2.8 million cedis more from the central bank as concerns over the loan history of customers mount. Charles Aite brings you details in business.
Hello there and welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. The Bank of Ghana is reporting a surge in the number of complaints received in relation to the loan history of customers issued by credit reference bureaus. Now, according to the central bank's credit referencing activity, in 2019, credit referencing activities grew up by 7% to a little over 2.8 million cedis. Charles Nixon Yeboah has more in this report.
The complaint, according to the report, is related to customers of defunct financial institutions who had adverse information on their credit report, either due to non-payment of previous loans or reports not updated by respective defunct institutions. The report further said the complaints are an indication of effective use of the credit referencing system by lenders, as affected customers were denied new credit facilities by lenders for having adverse reports. The increasing number of complaints may also be due to increased awareness of the credit referencing system by the general public. The report noted that the Bank of Ghana, in collaboration with the receivers of the defunct banks, resolved complaints relating to the incomplete credit report. The increased complaints also resulted in some affected customers settling their previous indebtedness with the receivers. The report noted that the consistent increase in the use of credit bureau services affirms the importance of the credit referencing system in the credit administration processes of lenders. Also, credit referencing activities grew by 7% to a little over 2.8 million in 2019. The consistent increase in the use of credit bureau services also reaffirms the importance of the credit referencing system in the credit administration processes of lenders. But will that help address the relatively high non-performing loans going forward? The report said all three licensed credit bureaus participated in the collection of data from lenders and provided various credit referencing products and services to banks. These products and services were patronized by financial institutions in their credit appraisal and management processes, Know Your Customer, and credit recovery procedures. Meanwhile, an average of 43 savings and loans companies and finance houses submitted data consistently to credit bureaus. This is an improvement over previous years. Rural and community banks that consistently submitted data and used the services of credit bureaus also improved compared to the previous year.
We stay a little more on the central bank because it has instituted fresh regulatory measures that will help drastically minimize fraud cases across the country. Now, this follows concerns that adequate corrective measures have not been implemented by the commercial banks following a sudden surge in fraud cases last year. Dr. Joseph France is head of financial stability at the Bank of Ghana.
Reports are given to the financial institutions and to the Bank of Ghana, the regulator. Other less sophisticated staff also have go through, or they get clearance from the Bank of Ghana through the database that we have. And depending on the level, key management personnel, for instance, is supposed to have some strong clearance from the security agencies as you employ them or you engage them. So yes, there are levels of security protocols that.
Away from that, the government through the Trade Ministry has injected a 40 million cedi capital to Ghana's largest pear planting factory, Equiapim Gold. Now, paying a visit to the 5,000-acre factory, Trade Minister Untitled explained how processing factories are being prioritized under the 1D1F initiative. Here's more. Equiapim Gold is one of the avocado processing companies across the region, with a span of over 5,000 acres in 2 years for nucleus farms and 15,000 acres outgrower for the next 6 years. Trade Minister Untitled expressed government's readiness to expand this processing factory to enable Ghana to become a major exporter of avocado.
They are adding value to a commodity, to a crop that essentially is very popular in our country, but not much is made out of it. But we are now turning avocado into a cash crop.
Director of Operations George Clint explained when this is done, they're expecting 55,000 avocados to be exported each and every year. This they hope to expand in the coming months.
We're looking at 95 million Ghana cedis. In the meantime, ESIM has committed 40 million. And we're looking at other investors to come on board. We're looking at ADB, we're looking at other banks to come and join up for this project to continue.
The visit to Equiapim Gold comes in the wake of government's 1D1F agenda, which seeks to not just inject new factories, but also support struggling ones to meet international standards. You have seen the stories for yourself. Let's now give you a summary of all the local stories in the world of business.
Operators of the Jubilee and Trinidad and Inra and Ntomi Fields Talo Ghana Limited has disclosed it has invested an amount of $10.8 billion in Ghana's oil fields between 2007 to 2019. According to Talo, its continued investment with its partners in Ghana's hydrocarbon resources has resulted in the Jubilee Fields production averaged 84,700 barrels of oil per day in the first half of 2020. Despite Ghana's economy shrinking by 3.2% in the second quarter of the year, the central bank says the economy is on the recovery path as its measure of economic activity shows positive signs. High-frequency data available to the Bank of Ghana shows some green shoots of rebound in economic activity. From the Bank of Ghana surveys in August, consumer confidence is bouncing back strongly and is currently above the pre-lockdown levels, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, stated. Cocoa Board is targeting raising the country's cocoa production to about 1 million tons in the next 3 years following the introduction of the Cocoa Farm Rehabilitation Program to reverse the devastation caused by the cocoa swollen shoots disease.
All for the business stories for this segment. We have sports coming up next with Nathaniel Atto. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. My name is Nathaniel Atto and I've got a big dose of sport to bring you this evening. Of course, it's a very packed evening with Joy Sports, and we'll begin with the transfer deadline. Now, Thomas Partey, the deputy captain of the Black Stars, is flown to London for medicals as the Gunners have met a £45 million release clause. Now, when you get on the sports page of myjoyonline.com, it just tells you, gives you a breakdown of that story, and it says Arsenal are closing in on the signing of Thomas Partey after paying the $50 million buyout clause for the Atletico Madrid midfielder. Now, La Liga, who hold the players' registration, confirmed that Arsenal have triggered the buyout clause, and this was earlier this evening with Atletico duly notified. Now, Arsenal have paid the amount to Atletico, and the 27-year-old is currently in London to complete the move. So there it is. And of course, social media is buzzing greatly. Well, social media is buzzing greatly with the news, and so many angles to all of this. Let's get you into the Joy Sports newsroom right now because George Addo Jr. Is getting ready. George, good to see you at this time. Special circumstances for the night. And interestingly, you know, the whole buzz about transfer deadline day has saved the fans of Manchester United and Liverpool, some carry forward trouble, right?
Yeah, obviously. It's transfer deadline day, and you're just hoping that your club can really get into it and do some business. After the poor results by Liverpool and Manchester United, I'm sure the fans were expecting a bit of a reinforcement. I don't think Liverpool fans are overly worried with their team. I think that they got Alcantara. They have some great players in there. Jota is doing well, so they will feel they have a good team. But Manchester United look like a team that had definitely lost the plot. But in the last 2 hours, it's been all Thomas Partey and the big party that's about to start in Arsenal and in London.
But this one is the party before the party, right?
Yes, it's certainly the party, before the party. And I don't remember the last time, in recent times when we had
a Ghanaian player
window that had so much Ghanaian ink, and we're so excited about the transfer countdown show right after your fantastic documentary you put together, the boxing loan. Thomas Partey is about completing the deal. We have spoken to the insiders. Arsenal fans can smile, but we're going to keep counting down until Arsenal say, we finally got a man. I don't think there's going to be any news to the contrary. He's definitely going to be an Arsenal man for sure. But the likes of Christian Achu, who needs to find a club. He was clearly told at Newcastle that he needed to find a club. He couldn't stay there. And we know that he has to choose between Watford or Celtic. That's up for us as well. We also know in the last few minutes or few hours, I should say, that Kwadwo Asamoah has terminated his contract with Inter Milan. That means that Kwadwo Asamoah must find a club. We're told he's getting close to signing a deal there with Sampdoria. So much when it comes to the Ghanaian scene. And we're talking about all of these players. We're talking about the players who generally moved in this transfer window. We're talking about the Ghanaian players who moved on the African continent. We're talking about Ghanaian players here in the Ghana Premier League because there have been quite a number of transfers. So it's a great show for us. If we take the Ghanaian perspective from all of this, we have to focus on the clubs and what they're doing. So Arsenal, like we know, have
just
Gandozi, on loan to head of the league, and there's so much to go through here. Right?
Yeah, George, just before you go to sip the rest of that, that orange juice I saw you sipping a few minutes ago, there is a lot of talk about the figures, and Partey is surely going to be smiling to the bank. Just chip the top for me a little bit, not too much detail because obviously the detail is lying after 9 p.m. Chip the top a little bit as to what we should be expecting. I mean, net-wise, what should be the minimum that Partey should expect?
That this story reminds me of what I was earning at Radio Universe compared to what I'm earning at Joy. I think Thomas Partey is making such a huge jump. I'm happy for him. From 30,000K, and he's going to be earning in the region of £210,000 a week.
Wow.
The rest on the Joy transfer countdown.
Wow.
It's good. Arsenal is looking good. We have a big party on.
Wow, great. Party before the party. George, we'll catch you after 9. You take it easy, sip a lot of orange juice, and all the best to you, Gary, and the rest of the team as we bring the transfer deadline day. Of course, just before we go as well, in the sport of boxing, nicknames and accolades make athletes thrive in terms of marketability. So I'm sure you're all wondering how come Ghana's first boxing world champion, David Kote, got his nickname DK Poison. Well, DK Poison reveals it in tonight's documentary, and that's the boxing loan, which I put together. Now, it marks 45 years of organization of the WBC featherweight title and marks the gallant milestone of winning the nation's very first global silverware in sport, and the circumstances as well around an unpaid loan he advanced to government for humanitarian purposes. So how did he get DK Poison?
I've been telling you that I'm destined to be a world champion. The poison came from my parents, not my grandfather.
Okay.
My great-grandfather was a fisherman.
Okay.
Jamestown here. And each time they go to the seaside, maybe Tuesday or other, when they go to make the next have a fight, free fight. He was champion of the Asafatre, was a champion. So when I was born, if you can watch here carefully, you see the lumps here.
There's a lump, yes.
It's there. I didn't get it from boxing.
I see.
It was there when I was born.
Yeah.
Then the moment I came, they said, oh, this was your great farmer. The name was Poison.
Okay.
That's where I got the name Poison for.
And then it stuck one more finally, and it's been like that since.
Yes.
I see. Well, These plus more will be revealed in the next 37 minutes and onwards right here on this channel and on 421 on DSTV and 144 on your Go TV. The boxing loan is right here on this channel. That's it for sport for now. Transfer deadline is up as well at 9 p.m. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.
Time now for showbiz. Becky is here looking all beautiful.
Hello to you. Do you like my hair?
Very beautiful, Becky.
Jay and Jazz hair. Thank you so much, Jay and Jazz. Thank you. Oh, my hair is looking nice.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
What's up for showbiz?
E-Vibes. I'm sure a lot of people, you guys, are you watching E-Vibes though? Well, if they're not watching, I'll give them excerpts of things that are happening inside the E-Vibes world. So I'm sure we haven't gotten enough of Kwame Eugene, Aisha. Kwame Eugene is advising the young ones, people who aspire to become musicians in the future. He's telling you guys that what you need to do is to make sure that you work hard, pray to God, and be very respectful. What will be, I mean, from where you're coming from, Fadama, you refer to yourself as the street guy. You know, God has been very good to you. What will be your advice to, you know, the younger ones coming up, you know, looking at you or watching this interview right now?
So real quick, I'll tell them that besides they working hard in life, because it's very important, you need to work hard and you need to have a plan in life. What is your plan? What is your ambition? Who do you want to become? How do you want to become who you want to become? Besides that, you need to love God. If you're a good Muslim, please worship God. If you're a good Christian, please worship God. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even believe. I don't even think about the spiritualities of what I'm saying when you are in a religion, Muslim or being a Christian. I know the spiritualities count, but that is not where my focus is. My focus is in the fact that the Holy Quran and the Bible teaches you how to nurture your life. You don't hurt people like that. You do everything out of goodwill. You speak from your heart and you do good. That's one alone nurtures you. That is what I believe in and makes you a better man in the first place.
Kwame Eugene there speaking to me on E-Vibes every time. But this weekend, we're expecting somebody from the gospel fraternity. I'm talking about your favorite Joe Metal. If you want to know where Joe Metal grew up and what inspired his music career, you should stay for E-Vibes this weekend on Saturday. But here are excerpts.
I guess that coming back here brings memory. I remember my grandmother used to have meetings with other, you know, they have something we call kwe. I don't know how you call it, but it was more like a meeting where... With the family people? No, it was, you know how like you guys do susu and those kind of stuff? But they did it, like there were different people who come, contribute on this month, they give it to one person. And then, but it was a whole thing. It wasn't just collect the money and give. We had the whole activity every month where they sing, and I picked even some of the Ghana songs and stuff whilst, because there were elderly women who knew the hymns, the Ghana hymns and stuff. So it was here, like it was. We've done a lot of renovations to this place.
Any of the hymns that's your
grandmother plenty. Song? Most of the Ghana songs you hear me sing, I picked from those places. I remember them because I was smaller and they used to have a drum.
Joe Metal. I can't wait.
So it's Saturday at 8 a.m., right?
Yeah, 8:30 a.m. right before news file. Yes, and in the afternoon, 2 p.m. you can catch it. I mean, it's all over Joynews and also on Joy Prime. But let's congratulate Mikey Gizo of Hit FM.
Yes,
he is celebrating 10 years of service here. And do you know what he did? He actually, had like a small party for, few friends, few fans out there.
Wow.
I don't know,
He
Aisha.
didn't invite us.
Oh, he didn't. But, well, we're waiting for you, Aisha, when you are finally celebrating 50 years of service to multimedia. You can have a beautiful show.
That's
Mike Gizo. Let's congratulate
Mike Gizo.
Mike Gizo for that.
Thank you so much for bringing us showbiz. And we're going to be making time to watch E-Vibes on Saturday. That'll be it for Showbiz. For those of you watching on Joy Prime, that'll be it. The news continues on Joynews. Let's do more on Joynews. Prime Communications Director of the governing NPP, Boabian Samoa, has revealed the details of the audit report conducted into Cocoa Road projects constructed under the Mahama administration. According to Boabian Samoa, the audit report established that none of the 229 contracts awarded to the 140 contractors went through a competitive tendering process, and the cost per kilometer of the road project was much higher than the average cost of government-sponsored projects. Cocoa roads were suspended in 2017 over corruption concerns. Former President Mahama over the weekend challenged the government to publish the audit report on the Cocoa roads, but Boabian Samoa indicates that the said audit report is already in the public domain. He's been addressing the media.
Mahama is indeed a curious man. He has shown some remarkable bravery in daring to speak on the contracts he and his spouse awarded for Cocoa roads. He is asking for the government to publish what is already public, the audit report of the said Cocoa roads contracts. First of all, for John Mahama, his habit was to award contracts even when he had no clue how to pay for them. Cocoa roads contracts awarded by the previous government, constituting 229 projects, amounted to some 5.1 billion Ghana cedis. This was at a time when funds available to pay for road construction in total was only 1.7 billion Ghana cedis. The 140 contractors who awarded the 229 contracts, none of the contracts went through a competitive tendering process. Not a single one went through a competitive tendering process. The cost per kilometer was much higher than the average cost of other government-sponsored road projects. For example, for the Pristia Samreboy Road, awarded to Asabia Engineering Limited, the audit report found that it was inflated by 121.85%. This is a classic case of incompetent economic management worsened by corruption. Also, several contractors were requesting payment for variation on contract amounts which were multiple times in excess of the initial contingency or variation amounts allocated. Whilst the Bahama-led government could not honor the payment of contracts they signed right from 2014-2015 cocoa season, they continued to sign additional contracts till 2017 when they left office, piling up dubious debts.
Now, Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahiniedo, rejects claims that the government spent $10 million to probe the cocoa roads. He spoke to Joynews' Kwesi Parker Wilson.
There was no consultant.
A committee was formed.
There was a committee that did the review. But of course, it was a committee comprising engineers from Ghana Cocoa Board, and then the procurement section, you know, the legal department, and then an architectural and engineering firm recommended by the various agencies that deal with road in Ghana. They recommended that architectural and the engineering firm to assist Cocoa Board in the review. I've heard people, you know, churn out a figure of $10 million.
Right.
I've heard, is it Mahama is saying that?
Even the minority held a press conference and mentioned that.
You see, I've been in Parliament before. I don't want to venture saying that they are liars.
The minorities are.
But misled the public. I say I don't want to venture that, because in Parliament that will be unparliamentary. But they are not being truthful. They are not being factually truthful to Ghanaians. I challenge them.
So how much was spent on this project, sir?
I challenge them. It has not. It doesn't come anywhere near what they are talking about.
For the benefit of the viewers, can you tell us how much we spent on this?
We paid in cedis. They are making allegations. If they have the figure, they should produce it, and they should produce the records.
Can we have a range of how much we spent?
Please.
You won't give us a range?
Once they haven't been truthful to Ghanaians, I don't even want to go there. Because look, they've entered the gutter, and I wouldn't go there with them.
But in the report, was it established that there were ghost projects in this Cocoa Road project constructed by the Mahama administration? Did your report establish that?
That was the initial report, yes.
Sorry?
That was the initial report, yes.
That there were ghost projects. Can you give us specific names of these ghost projects that were mentioned in your report?
Oh, for now, I cannot.
Which areas that they said that they had constructed and you went to check and it wasn't there?
You see, these are generic terms that were used by the committee, so you need to understand what are ghost, routes. It was a project, ghost roads, because for some cases, for instance, from here to, let's say, Circle, the same road was divided into 3. And then costing was made, even though instead of saying lots, there were some overlaps. So once the engineers look at the overlaps, you see that there's a missing gap in the overlap. It's a bit technical. And that's what he was referring to as a ghost road.
And this is where to stay for everything elections. The running mate to the NDC flag bearer, Professor Joynews Opoku-Agyeman, has begun a 5-day campaign tour of the Eastern region. The campaign, according to the statement issued by the communication team, is to re-energize the NDC's quest to capture power come December 2020. Professor Joynews Opoku-Agyeman will commence the regional campaign tour from Meteorological District Constituency, Lower and Upper Menya Yulo Krobo, and Ochre on the first day of her 5-day tour, where she is expected to meet chiefs and traditional leaders and supporters of the NDC. Now, Professor Joynews Opoku-Agyeman made her first stop at the Akwemu traditional area, where the paramount Queen Mother Nana Afrakuma II affirmed her support for the NDC's running mate. According to her, the decision by Professor Joynews Opoku-Agyeman to accept the choice of a running mate is a booster to the liberation of women in politics.
Yadana sigana menina danase. Nibiasi afane nyina. Tisayati we enkonwa da ye fie kura no. Bo ha na adu so wade mawo. Osi da bi minti menye. Nye nipa nyina na benya akukuduru. A wode bibi be kire nanim. No be gi atum. Yadana se, emi adana se. Nye nyina danase. Senya ni bi adu. Professor, they are going to school review. They are professor. They are not just saying, Obia, what kind? Now, so why shedding in the edge? And what they are dear with children and me. The Mizana Ghana 40, ye Cassa, ye, and so Tony in our training, Edgitum.
Professor Joynews Opoku-Agyeman also indicated her readiness to assist former President Mahama to deliver on his promise to develop the country, arguing politics is about improving the lives of the people. And to the NPP, a member of parliament for Akwetia constituency, popularly known as Amasei, was conspicuously missing in the constituency during President Akufo-Addo's campaign tour of the constituency. Amasei defeated NDC lawyer Baba Jamal in the 2016 general elections and became the people's representative of Akwetia. Her victory over Baba Jamal and his subsequent entry into parliament stoked debates in Ghana. People made a mockery of Baba Jamal that he lost the elections to a hairdresser. Maxwell Kudeko has more.
Amasei is loved by a majority of her constituents, but lost the NPP parliamentary primaries narrowly to one Ernest Kumi. She felt shortchanged at the parliamentary primary and have received calls from her numerous supporters urging her to contest as independent parliamentary candidate in the 2020 general election. She has passed comment to suggest that she would contest as an independent parliamentary candidate for the Akwetia constituency. New Patriotic Party apparatchiks have initiated moves to talk to her to rescind her decision. However, Amasei was not seen during President Akufo-Addo's campaign tour of the Akotia constituency. Her absence left many thinking that rumors of her independent candidature is true. Meanwhile, addressing the chiefs and people of Akotia as part of his campaign tour to the eastern region, President Akufo-Addo debunked claims that Amasei will contest as independent candidate. Nana-Addo expressed his worry over the absence of Amasei at the Deba, but insisted that he doubts if Amasei would contest as independent candidate.
Independent
Nana-Addo assured the people of Akotia that they will continue to benefit from government development projects. Responding to the nature of most of the Akotia roads, Akufo-Addo praised Minister of Roads and Highways, Mr. Amoakwata, for his sterling performance in the road sector. He said the MPP's development project doesn't exist in green books, but it is very rare.
And to other news, President Akufo-Addo has expressed his condolences to former President Jerry John Rawlings and his family on the loss of Madam Victoria Agbotui, mother of the former president. The president, in a visit to former President Rawlings on Monday, said the loss of a mother is different from that of a father, describing the love of a mother as something that is very different.
The minute I heard it, I called you to let you know that I heard and I extended you my condolence, and that I'll be able to come and visit you to do it properly when I got back to Accra. I got back to Accra finally last night, so I was able to come today with the Chief of Staff and Director of Communications at my office to come and express my condolence to you and your family, the loss of your mother. I don't know what it is, but the loss of mothers is different from the loss of fathers. That's my experience. When my mother died, I was Foreign Minister of Ghana, but I cried like a little baby. It didn't happen when my father died, but when my mother died, it happened to me. So I know exactly how you're feeling. The love of a mother is something which is different and special. So I came simply to come and express my condolence. I believe a delegation of the government has already been here to visit you, but I wanted to come myself personally also to extend to you my deep condolence.
The still father of the Anglo State, Ambassador Dana Bodakbi, who is also the chairman of the Central Planning Committee of Madam Agbotui's funeral, said the family was grateful for the show of comradeship and solidarity. Government has directed all schools to ensure high observance of COVID-19 protocols despite the general disregard by the public. Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Yalse Duchum, said safety measures adopted during the peak of the pandemic are expected to be maintained in the schools. The directive comes as second-year students in both junior and senior high schools return to school Monday as part of the phased reopening. Nanaya Ojima has been visiting the schools in Kumasi and has filed this report.
Senior high school students on Green Track were home for almost 7 months, a measure adopted to check the spread of COVID-19. Boarding students in all senior high schools visited have started reporting to school in their face masks. Security men at Kumasi Secondary Technical School took temperature of students and visitors before allowing them access to the school. Veronica buckets were seen at vantage points while students are handed hand sanitizers and nose masks for protection. Other schools, including Opokuwari School and Anglican Senior High School, were spotted observing same protocols. Deputy Education Minister Dr. Educhum says government is learning from experience.
I think the interesting thing is that protocol observance in schools are on the higher side because authority figures are there. So I think in schools the protocols will be better observed than home. So I'm excited to see that the President has given permission for Form 2s to come to school, and they are coming. And I think the good news is that when they come, headmasters are going to do what they did, even with the final year students in there. That was the peak.
In some basic schools, including Great Rock of Ages International and Asemboy's JHS, active lessons had started. Students at the JHS and SHS levels are happy to be back in school.
I feel very delighted to be back because I can learn. When we were in the house, I didn't get much time to learn.
Because when we were at home, we used to learn, but there are some subjects like science and social studies that needs explanation by teachers.
Wearing of the nose masks, the sanitizing, Verica market is everywhere. So the protocols is good. It's flexible. I mean, everybody can follow it.
I think it's time for us to rep school again because we'll be writing just next year. I think we are now in Form 3 and we'll be having our WASI just next year. And we've missed a whole lot of semester. Yeah.
But some managers of private schools say government will have to open the school for all junior high school students to keep them in business. Proprietor of Solid Rock International, Mr. Isaac Boedi, explains measures are in place to ensure all protocols of the pandemic are adhered to.
So my class 1, JHS 1-4.
It is very difficult to run the school with proceeds from just JHS 2 students. I have 8 teachers and other staff to pay with the money we will make from them.
See, you have a class we
were expecting over 40 students, but only 28 reported today. As you see, we are observing the protocols very well, and we can do the same with all the JHS classes.
It's World Teachers Day today, and some teachers who have been speaking to Joynews say they deserve better than they're currently being served. They argue the roles in the fight against COVID-19 should qualify them as frontline workers. Peter Seno has been speaking to some teachers in the OT region.
Thank you. Sure, we deserve better as we've been served. We've not even been served anything. We provide, they consider even the students to us. We have not been provided with a lot of things. Just let me just talk about nose mask. What is it? Do you get it? We as nurses are at the forefront at the hospital.
We're still live on Joynews. We'll take a break. We'll be back shortly.
And it's now time for business. I'm Charles Aite. Talo Ghana, operator of the Jubilee and 10 fields, has announced a significant milestone of 300 million barrels of oil production from the Jubilee field since it began operations more than 10 years ago. Now, the milestone has been achieved through a collective effort of the Jubilee partners since the country discovered the hydrocarbons in commercial quantities. There is more in this report.
Talo and its partners have invested $10.8 billion from 2017 to 2019 in the Jubilee field and continue to invest in Ghana's hydrocarbon resources. In the first half of 2020, Jubilee production averaged 84,700 barrels of oil a day, and TEN production averaged 50,900 barrels of oil a day. Major operator of the field, Tullow Oil, in a press statement copied to Joy Business, has announced a significant milestone of 300 million barrels of oil production from the Jubilee field since it began operation. This is an accumulation of total oil produced from the field since 2007 with various partners and joint venture companies. Chief Executive Officer of Tullow, Rahul Deer, said, quote, reaching 300 million barrels of oil produced from the Jubilee field is a significant moment for Ghana and for Tullow Oil.
Now, energy partners TC's Energy Limited USA and Sino Hydro Corporation Limited, also known as Power China International Group, have appended their signatures to an agreement that will develop the Dejat National Park in the Bono region into a green city resort. Now, this is going to see an investment of $11 billion injected into the entire project. There is more in this report. The partners bringing together the project will be fulfilling a dream that was birthed 5 years ago by the Forestry Commission in its efforts to move from dependency on timber resources while pursuing the development of responsible nature-based tourism to source for funds to further conserve and run protected areas. The Director, Corporate Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation for the Forestry Commission, Kujo Ewudi, noted that the partnership solidified every hope of turning Ghana's ecotourism into a world-class standard worth emulating in other countries.
Within the West Africa, we know very well that entertainment and realization is absolutely not existing. So we want to make sure that those who are making good money and those who are working hard have a place to relax and entertain themselves, whilst recognizing the natural resources.
And that's it by way of business. I'm Charles Isaac.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin tonight. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com for all the news updates. Enjoy the rest of our programs.